Pregame.com.
Thursday night NBA action. Miami Heat go to the Chicago Bulls. He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Scott, it's April, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put myself out there. Mm-hmm. Here's the NBA Eastern Conference Finals preview.
Wow. Let me write that down.
Seriously, I just don't see. I know, Boston's playing well
Sure.
right now. I'm sorry. I don't see any two teams in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals other than these two.
Yeah, same here. And the thing is that, Boston's playing their tails off right now because they want to avoid the 2-7 matchup in the opening round of the playoffs, which means they'd probably be playing the Miami Heat. Brian and I talked about this last week, and that's why I think you're seeing these veterans for Boston getting so much playing time and playing so hard right now. I referred to a couple of years ago when Boston, I think it was the year after they won the championship, and Doc Rivers said, we just need to get to the postseason, and I think it was in late December of a full season, of course, and he said to his starters, his main three, his three amigos, we're going to play you guys less until after the All-Star break because we're going to go ahead and save you guys. We're going to try to keep you from getting injured and worn out. And so if that's their best case scenario, that's what they're going to do. These guys are going to sit. They're not so worried about having to come out and play so hard. But because they want to avoid a 2-7, they're playing their tails off. And so far it's worked for the Celtics. You got to give them credit. As far as this particular game, a lot of it obviously comes down to whether Derrick Rose plays in this contest. Going into Tuesday night's game as we shoot this, he was basically downgraded to doubtful sometime overnight, Monday night, Tuesday morning, and we got involved with Chicago on the game, and obviously when people watch this, they may know already what the results are, but going into Tuesday, we stayed on Chicago when the line dropped down, even though Derrick Rose was likely not going to play, but he didn't play in that last matchup against Miami, and they beat the Heat 106-102. But Marco, I was going to throw this at you. One of the things they got in that game when he was out was an incredible game from John Lucas. He was 9 for 12. He scored 24 points. We're talking about a guy that scores 7 or 8 points per game on the season. I'll give him credit. He's upped it to about 11 points per game over the last 9 or 10 games. But again, they had to count on a 9 for 12 night from John Lucas to get over the hump.
They did, and I think John Lucas had a little personal vendetta because wasn't it the first meeting against Miami when LeBron, dunked over top of him where he did the
video goes viral.
Yeah. So I think he had a little added motivation there. Back to Derrick Rose for a second. As we're taping on Tuesday, this is an injury that they played on Sunday. I heard nothing about him, tweaking the ankle and nothing overnight. And, like you said before we went on air, several quotes from him. He's talking about can't wait to get back out there on Tuesday and some things they did poorly on Sunday they wanted to correct. So unless this is one of those deals where they wanted to rest him against the Knicks because this is a statement game for Chicago, which I actually do believe this is a statement game for them. They need to win in the regular season against Miami so they have the confidence, I think, moving forward into the playoffs because even though they've got the best record, even though they're going to have to go through Chicago, it's intimidating when you look across the court and you see Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and after the way they melted down in those games last year in the conference finals, they need to get their confidence built up. And I think you're going to see a playoff atmosphere, and that's where I'm heading with this play, what side I'm going to come on.
I also, I want to see Deng and Rose on the court, and I'm hoping they're close to 100%, if not 100%, because the first matchup, I think Rose, he scored about 30 points in that first matchup. They lost in South Beach by 4 points. Close game, but he was only like 11 for 28 from the floor. Deng didn't play in that game. And so, of course, in the second game, you were missing Rose, of course, and Deng wasn't healthy. And so it would be nice to see what Chicago and Miami could do if all parts are healthy. Now, Wade, as of Tuesday late afternoon, was also a little bit banged up. I think he should probably be in shape for this game. The thing that I looked at Miami going into Tuesday is that in the last 10 road games, they played, 8 playoff-bound or playoff contending opponents. They're 1-7 straight up and against the spread against those 8 playoff-bound teams when Miami goes on the road. And, I've said time and time again doing videos involving the Heat that really if it's not, between James and Wade and Bosh having big nights, their I don't even like to say role players. Everybody's got a role on a team. LeBron's role is to score. I should say their second-tier players are guys that just aren't getting the job done. Not always their fault. I know in one game against Chicago, you had James, Wade, and Bosch going crazy, and you had the second-tier players taking a combined total of 14 shots, making 5. So they're 89 for 255. That's 34.9% shooting, guys not named, Wade, James, and Bosch. Now, the worst shooting team in the NBA are the Charlotte Bobcats, who shoot about 41%. Now, if 255 shots in the last 8 games against those playoff contenders are taken by guys not named, those big 3, and they're only shooting 34.9%, that's pretty bad basketball. And it makes me question, and before the season began, I thought for sure Miami was going to be in the finals, and I said it would likely be against Oklahoma City or San Antonio. Thought they would be the team that they'd be going up against. Miami still may get there, but those second-tier players have got to step up to make a difference, especially in a 7-game series against Chicago come postseason if Chicago's healthy.
Yeah, and when you handicap a game, you always break down the box scores and look at it. It's kind of misleading because you look at bench scoring. I mean, that's a key element that you want to look at, especially when you get into a 7-game series. And every time you look at that particular stat, Miami's going to come up short in bench scoring comparisons. And it's just because they have that big 3. They also have so much money tied up into the big 3 that the rest of the roster, you didn't have as much money to spend on those marginal role players that, come in off the bench that, your 6th and 7th men. So that's going to be a disadvantage, for them moving forward. But in this game, I go back to that game and I handicapped this. I'm going to be honest with you, Scott. I handicapped it last night, preparing for the videos today, and my intention was Derrick Rose was going to play. And I think he is. I think this was just the thing. If they want him 100%, they want him for this game, not the Knick game. And I go back to the last game, which was a 106-102 game without Derrick Rose. I think because that game was 208 points total scored, it's going to give us value on the over-under in this game because, and I like to call him John Q. Public, the average bettor is going to look, and in his mind, he's going to see that last game and see 208 points, and he's going to say, they hit 208 points without Derrick Rose.
Right.
Now Derrick Rose is back, they should hit that easier. There's 2 things. One, it was without Derrick Rose, so when they were coming down the floor, you don't have the people making those extra passes to get Derrick Rose his good look. Second, you don't have Derrick Rose's defensive capabilities, which he's, very good at that. And the tempo of the last game, Miami, for most of the ball game, was down 12 to 15 points in that ball game. When you're down double digits, you got to keep attacking when you're the team behind. So the tempo of the game was at an up pace because they were trying to come from behind. This is going to be a playoff atmosphere, going to be a war. I think you're going to see a huge defensive effort. And because that last game was so off the charts with the scoring, we're going to get a few extra points on this over-under than where it should be. I like the under in this game a lot. Tell me where.
Sold. Plus, we're going to get probably a healthy Luol Deng, which helps out on the defensive end also. And so, that factors into the mix. But I like everything you just said. And, when he did play, talking about Derrick Rose in the previous matchup against Miami, he took 28 shots. They scored 93 points. Yeah. Without him, they score 106 points. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. I think they worked to get him his shots. He's probably going to take 25-ish. 25 or more shots in the game. You've got Deng, who wasn't in the last game, who's going to come out and be better for you on the defensive end. So I agree with everything you just said. I'll go with the under. I'll be with you.
Well, there you go. That's my video best bet. We give you one each week. I had a stinker of a video best bet last week. Hey, we're transparency here. We brag about the winners. We'll tell you about the losses too. Speaking of winners, it's hot in this room right now, I'm going to tell you. And it's not because of all these lights that we're sitting under. This guy sitting next to me in the NBA, you are just absolutely sizzling, my man. Congrats on a nice, what are you, like 13-1?
Going into Tuesday, we're 13-1, the last 14. And then we've just had this real nice run since March 1st, 30-11, going into tonight and into Tuesday night. So we'll hope to keep it going right into the playoffs and throughout the playoffs. In my 2008 playoff season, was like, I should have just probably retired. It was the best thing I ever did. We're hoping to have a 2012 playoff season just like it. So thanks a lot for the mention.
Check out Scott's stuff, and they're actually pregame put up a special for you on the rest of the NBA
Right.
playoff package. So check that out at Scott's homepage. And as we do each week with my video best bet, we give you a coupon. We're going with the under, but we're going to make the coupon this week Bulls 10. That's Bulls and the number 10, and that's going to get you $10 off anything in your shopping cart. Load that shopping cart up. You're going to get a $10 discount, and if you happen to buy something, it's just $10. That's going to be on RJ. Little secret, that doesn't happen very often, but you can get a nice $10 discount. And we're going to be back. We're going to look at a game on Thursday. It's not a marquee matchup, or excuse me, for Friday, but it's very important to one of these two teams, as the defending world champs right now are life and death to make the playoffs. We're going to talk about their Friday game against Portland. He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Check out all the videos this week at pregame.tv.